Grand Rising family, Grand Rising. Posted a video yesterday about Plantation Conversation, but I I deleted it. I deleted it because I strayed a little bit off topic and it was a little rushed, and I really want to focus on what I mean by Plantation Conversation. So Plantation Conversation is at the job, whenever you're at the job or your office or wherever you're going to, and you have to be around um, certain stereotypes, profiles. What do you engage in? What type of conversation goes on? So I'm going to share a little bit with you about my exchanges or my non-exchanges, things that I do not engage in on this plantation. So I have a young brother who works with me, and he's very fond of me. Just we work together on the same lane on processing these trailers, these boxes. And then, as you saw, I work on I work for the Chrysler plantation. So he likes to talk. Well, he likes to engage in a bunch of nonsense for the most part. And what do? I ignore it. Why do I ignore it? Because it has no value. And we have to stop engaging in things that have no value. He likes to talk about what the next what jump off he's gonna get into. And for those of you who are not familiar with the slang of jump off, and for my African brothers and sisters all around the diaspora who doesn't understand what Western slang, a jump off is something that rappers refer to our women as, another word for hoes and bitches and sluts and things like that. So do I think of our women like that? No. So why would I engage that? That is your power. Your power is also to ignore, but do not ignore your ancestors. So when he does engage me, he's sensing that he has to engage me in a higher level of thought, a higher level of reasoning. And yesterday he came with a higher level of thought, a higher level of reasoning. He wanted to get more personable. So he told me about his life and what's going on at home, and how he feel like he was raised to be a misfit. And I said, brother, welcome to the party. But what are you gonna do? Are you gonna complain about it, or are you gonna make some changes, put some action into it? Because we talk about our problems too much. And it was one of my favorite ancestors, Dr. Wilson, who said, we think that economic problems are the results of civil rights. We think that economic problems are the results of civil rights, but an economy is a set of social relations, right? And an economy is established by those who establish this social order of lower class, middle class, upper class. So we have to ask ourselves, are we a systematic people or are we a village people? And the village is for the whole. The system is for parts. As we just said, lower class, middle class, upper class. So when you think of yourself as a lower class African or a middle class African or upper class African, who represents you in these agencies? Europeans, right? If I'm wrong, then let me know. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'm always open to new information. Like I said, it's not about. I said this previously on the Twitter space. It's not about being wrong or right. It's about being healthy and unhealthy, really. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. Is what we're doing right now healthy for our nation? Because we don't have an agency. We don't have an agency, so whites and anybody else feel like they feel comfortable disrespecting us because we don't have an agency. We have rallies and organizations. Onitaset, another one of my favorite ancestors, who is in the Twitter space. Shout out to you, brother. Does a lot of work. Has a book books that he has written that he promotes all the time. And the response to that is majorly ignored. And we have to ask ourselves, what has us ignoring our brothers and sisters? Why are we suffering because of our, and it leads back to our ignorance. And we have to draw that line to that. You have to, getting back to plantation conversation, what is the conversation getting to? I don't even say conversation in my daily, I say exchanges, because it keeps the perspective. You have to keep the perspective. What are you getting out of this exchange? Every conversation, if we're going to go to etymology of the word again, conversation is basically a converting of the sense. A converting of the sense. So where are you trying to take me to? What is the end goal of this? And if it's not about peace, if it's not about justice, if it's not about reciprocity, if it's not about truth, if it's not about love, what are we engaging in? What is this exchange? What are you trying to take from me? And you have to keep your mind, keep your spirit, keep your reality. That's what I'm talking about. Keep the reality that you wish to see. Because too often we give up on each other. Oh, the white man is doing that, and the white man is doing this. But what are you doing? What are we doing? That's the reality of the situation. So we have to stop confusing old with outdated. Dr. Wilson said that too. We confuse old with outdated because of terms of new and modern world and stuff like that. You all hear me mention that a lot. Because it's weird and it's sad that we have Africans, brothers and sisters from the diaspora running all over the world from the motherland, only to be met with disgust and severe literary tests and high fees and low wages, and they're trying to escape life. You're trying to escape your culture, but the ancestors will always let you know that you cannot escape what's yours. I mean, you can run from it, but you can't escape being African. Everybody knows you as African. I mean, do you know you as African? Because when we ask silly stuff like stop killing us and women's rights and men's fair wages, union laws, or whatever the hell this is, you got to realize how silly that is. This is a wasteland. I had to show this off. But listen, this is a wasteland, people. This is a wasteland that steals from every other land, and you are okay with it. You are okay. You okay it with sending your children to their schools at these high prices, telling them that this is the white man's world, doing a lot of strange stuff, not fasting, not studying the ancestors, like keeping them as the focal point, because without a focal point, everything else is a blur. Everything else is a blur. Now, Dr. Amos also said, you must forget many things in order to be in service to these people. You must forget many things in order to be in service to these people. They don't like you unless you're drunk, unless you're rapping about killing yourself, killing your family. That's pretty much it. I mean, you go around a European as a Pan-African, and let's see if you still have a friend. Because Pan-Africans, we know it's been done, and we speak on justice, and we speak in truth, and we don't hold back. So the European is an enemy, because he is an enemy of the brothers and sisters that we want to unify and take our land back. Really take our land back. And it's not about money. It's not about money. It's about resources. But I guess people are going to keep using money until there are no more resources to be valued. And as I said, In the previous video, the apocalypse takes place. These people have already, they have already ravaged America, you know? And a lot of people say, well, America is the richest nation in the world. Bullshit. Democratic Republic of the Congo has $34.1 trillion US dollars in valuable materials, valuable resources. And do you know that the cell phones come from the minerals of the Democratic Congo? Did you know that? Did you know that? I mean, like, seriously, that there are children literally digging through the ground night and day, rain, sun, whatever, all type of disasters and just filth to get you the smartphone, to get these people the smartphone, and other people are doing the same. I load a truck worth of about like probably $100,000 to $200,000 of auto parts a day to get paid. And let's keep it real, after taxes, like $380 a week. Yeah. Yep. And we also have rules on the plantation that I need to mention. So the rules on the plantation is there's a line that you do not cross. You have to walk all the way around the building to get to the restroom. You're not allowed to talk to the other people who are working on the other line. If you do talk to the other people who work on the other line, you will be reprimanded. And I don't engage with people who say stuff like, well, that's just what they're gonna do, and that's just white people for you. We just gotta get in where we fit in. That's defeatist talk. That's defeatist talk, family. And you don't need to engage in that. That's a weak person talking to you with a weak mind, and they don't want to be solution driven. They want to be taken care of. So they're happy getting by. And it's not rocket science. It's not anything complex. It's not something that you have to study deeply. It's something that you really have to open your mind and your heart to when it comes to the ancestors and in relations to them. And see, Dr. Amos has spoke on this, not in that, a lot of us were waiting on this biblical revelation to happen. And then you say, what our ancestors have been saying, who have been brainwashed. I hate that term because who washed your brain? I mean, the mind is very powerful. Look up neurogenesis, people. Neuroplasticity. Look that up. The mind cannot be washed. That is a psychological play on words. And if you do not do your own psychological learning from your culture, of course you're going to be brainwashed. To even say brainwashed is being brainwashed. Take your brain out of the washer and put it in the dryer. I mean, you're soaked in excuses. You're soaked in excuses, and you're soaked in learned helplessness. Yeah, that's another psychological term. Since we want to say brainwash, let's say learned helplessness. And people learn to be helpless. I get it. You get the people on the TV show in Africa is poor and needing aid, but they don't ever show you many of you know how they're raping Africa, how the UN is raping Africa to. We're not even going to start on that because that's another topic. But Dr. Amos also said that your crops will be diseased. You're going to die of not warfare, but ignorance and emotional dysfunction. Now that's something to keep in mind, family. Keep that in mind. You're not going to die of warfare, but you're going to die of ignorance and emotional dysfunction because We are majority of the global population. You see, as you went to these religious places, spaces, as a child, they had to force you into belief. Nobody really explained to you what belief does. Does belief give me shelter? Does it give me food? Does it give me proper education? Does it give me proper reasoning? Does it fulfill me? Do I have a land to call my own? And if you don't, you probably believing in the wrong things. But, you know, there are ways. There are ways to go about getting better and doing better, but you have to be committed to that. You know, what I do personally is to keep my focus, I watch lectures. I watch lectures with my family, my Pan-African family, and you all heard me mention Clarity before. She is a great resource partner. Like seriously, like we watch a lot of lectures. I mean, when we have the time, and that's usually day by day basis. But when you think of yourself as a people, I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to leave you with this because I have to get ready for the plantation here shortly. And this is also from Dr. Wilson. This is who I'm taking this from when we talk about plantation conversation. So when you think of yourself as a people, you think of yourself as a nation. You know that you have the right to have your own laws set in place, set in accordance to the situation, circumstances, and nature in which you find appropriate for your best living. Is it appropriate to have gas stations and liquor stores and rundown homes and say that that's yours? Or is it appropriate to have a land of your rich resources and to be in control of that and to operate and organize around that so that to ensure that your family will never be taken again? And this does not come from a religion of, the many that I've mentioned before. This comes from the religion of our culture. Do we believe in us? Do we believe in the health of us? Do we believe in the prosperity of our children? Do we believe that the past will always remain our present? Think about that. Peace, family. Much love to those who have it. Keep the wisdom, keep the knowledge, keep the power among us, and expand.